We're good. Welcome to a Monday edition of Your Wildest Fantasy Football Show. We have a busy episode today, breaking down all of Sunday's matchups and this divisional Monday night showdown between the Eagles and the Cowboys. But first, I want to address the passing of Mike Tagliere. It sucks. I didn't know Tags personally, but I knew him as a fan, like many in the fantasy football world. He was not only a great mind in the fantasy world, but also someone who you could just tell truly cared about the people that he was talking to day in, day out and helping. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what we're here doing. We're giving advice to help other people, regardless of how minuscule the topic may be in the grand scheme of things. I'm very bad at being serious in full disclosure. So I want to get right to the point. We figured the least we could do is put up the link to the GoFundMe to support the Tagliere family. Last thing you want a family to have to go through when they're grieving is worrying about the expenses of everything. So if you could help in any way, we encourage you to do so. I did so. So if you could, that would be awesome. And if you are listening and not able to see the link on our live stream, you can visit my Twitter at Ryan Kondo, and it is my pinned tweet at the top. So our love and wishes are with the Tagliere family and friends and you within the fantasy football community grieving. But enough of me being a genuine person. Let's get into this show. I'm going to welcome on my co-host and confidant, Toady.
What's going on?
And we're going to get started for the day. We got a lot. It was a fun weekend. Like it was obviously besides the tragic news that we just mentioned, but like the games, there were so many good games this weekend.
There was a lot of good games. It was close. They were competitive. Some big plays. It was good. It was a good football Sunday.
And I just want to warn you before that this show is basically going to be me kind of claiming credit for all my wins and ignoring my losses, which there were few of this weekend, but the few that there were will be ignored, obviously.
Right. Of course.
Let's kick it right off. We got every game on the Sunday slate to cover, so this is going to take a minute. Let's get started with Washington at Buffalo. Josh Allen is back. He went absolutely off against this Washington defense that no longer exists.
Does not exist in football.
I don't know what happened to them, but it was nothing good.
No, it's rough. I drafted Washington early, as did probably a lot of other people, just based off the fact that last year they were insane. Thought they would continue. They're probably getting dropped after this less than trashy start, to be fair.
Yeah.
Credit to the Bills, though. The over-under for the game was 46. They hit 43 by themselves. So, really, they almost hit the over-under by themselves, folks. So, give them credit if you took the over.
Yes. That was an easy win.
I don't think they had to play.
Yeah, Josh Allen had 37.22 fantasy points. That is 45 fantasy points more than the Washington defense, who put up a number you don't want to see in fantasy, maybe in golf, but -8.
Yeah.
Josh Allen had, 4 touchdowns through the air. He had a touchdown on the ground. Just an unreal day. Any worries that people had about him? He averaged like 16.5 points or like around 17 points before. Yeah, you can kind of throw those out the window. Not to mention he plays Houston and Kansas City in his next 2 games. So Josh Allen's okay. Another person I want to talk about quickly is Zach Moss, who is rostered in over 50% of leagues. He's rostered in 57.1% of leagues. But in our 12-team half-point PPR league, he is available. So I figure he might be available in some other leagues as well.
Right.
He has 31 fantasy points through 2 weeks of playing, and he's RB20 on the season. He also has Houston, Kansas City, and Tennessee, all before the bye. So not defenses that you're particularly worried about. What are your thoughts on Zach Moss going forward?
Zach Moss played extremely well. Uh, he he looked more productive than Singletary for sure. Singletary kind of struggled, so it's nice that they were able to put Moss in there, and he was very efficient when he was in there, to say the least. He's definitely worthy of a roster spot if you are looking for a running back.
I think he's kind of jumped into flex territory for me, just because in this Buffalo offense that we've seen, especially over the last 2 weeks, can score a boatload of points.
Right.
And that was against Miami and Washington, 2 defenses that we thought were good. They might not be good, but
they might not be good.
For a moment, we thought they were good.
Right.
Now he's going against defenses that we know aren't going to be good.
Right.
And he's a threat to score a touchdown every single week. He's their running back at the goal line. He's their running back in the red zone. He's catching passes. He had 3 for 31.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a guy, if you have to put him in your flex, he's not a terrible option. There's certainly worse options out there than a running back, a goal line running back for a team that scores a boatload of points.
Right. I mean, he is the goal line back, but the fact he has 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks, those numbers will digress. If we look back to Miami, he went 8 attempts or 8 rushes, 26 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and he caught 2 passes for 8 yards. If you take away those 2 touchdowns, he had 3 points. So, like, he had a very minuscule game for you. This week was could have been more of a standalone week. I mean, he got 6 points just from the rushing, and another, 4.5 points receiving for you. So 10 points from a guy without that touchdown. I would consider him a high risk, high reward flex play.
Yeah.
He's not someone I would start if you have a lot of high risk, high reward guys in your lineup, but if you have a lot of high floor guys, he's worth the potential that he will give you in your flex. I wouldn't like him as my starting 1 or 2, but as a flex,
I think he's just an interesting option because I'm in full disclosure, and this doesn't make me look good.
Right.
But I'm willing to say it to help everyone else out there. And in the sake of honesty, I'm no George Washington, but perhaps this is a step forward in trying to become that. I dropped Zach Moss before the week in favor of Latavius Murray. In retrospect, not the decision I would make. But I think like he is the best version of Latavius Murray, to where he is a good candidate to get a rushing touchdown every single week. And if anything was to happen to Devin Singletary, I think he would just be the guy, where I don't think that would be the case with Latavius Murray. Yeah. I don't think many people were starting Latavius Murray as a flex play, but in desperation case, I say like Zach Moss obviously is more of a guy that you're looking at on your bench. And when bye weeks start coming up, maybe you have to play as a fill-in. Not a guy you actually want as your flex when everything is going right. But I think that he can definitely provide some value to you that is well above most out there right now, and certainly well above being rostered in 57.1% of leagues.
I just want to say a little sad of you that you picked Murray over Moss.
I'm sad too. Just
because, like, looking back at the weeks that Murray had, yes, they're nice, but they're pure rushing. No receiving whatsoever. Like, I don't even think he's out there on a pass play. If he is, he's out there as a 12th man on the field, not supposed to be, throw the flag. So a little disappointed in you, but I made bad choice this week too, so I can't.
Yeah, I wouldn't If I were you, I would not talk too badly about my bad choice.
I had
So I have a lot of ammo
I had a terrible week, everyone.
for this week.
Terrible.
There was also a tight end in this game, but we will mention him tomorrow. So I'm not going to talk about him right now. We are going to move into Chicago at Cleveland. Offense.
The Bears.
Offense is a word I know. I don't know if it's a word that the Bears know is the question. They were just bad. I think they had 60
looked terrible.
68 yards of offense, total offense. Justin Fields got sacked like so many times. Did you say he looked bad?
Obviously he looked bad. He went 6 for 20, but his line did not help him any. But I think Myles Garrett had 4.5 sacks by himself. So it's not good when you let Myles Garrett, who is a monster of a human, just run and punch your quarterback into the floor. So
do you trust anyone other than sorta Montgomery, who had 10 carries, 34 yards, 2 catches, 21 yards on 4 targets? Do you trust anybody else on this Bears offense? And how do you feel about Montgomery?
Right now, that was just, give credit where credit's due. Browns defense, hell of a week. Second most points for defenses this week. Only Saints beat them. I kind of expected this with Justin Fields back here. I thought it would be a little bit rougher because Cleveland knew coming into the game, they don't need to send guys back. They can crowd the line. They can load the box. Justin Fields is going to do short passes. They're going to try to give it to Montgomery. He's get a couple yards, some chump plays, some slants. So they were able to just crowd the line, creep the box up. And, they executed their plan perfectly. Justin Fields it's a hard welcome to the league moment for him.
Can you start Allen Robinson?
Can you? Sure. There are 3 spots on your team that you could put him. So, sure, you could. Do you want to? No, I don't think you want to. I think Montgomery is the only fantasy streaming option. Allen Robinson will have weeks, obviously. He's not useless. He's not a terrible wide receiver. He's just on a team that needs to get their line situated. They need to get actual people to protect their quarterback, especially if they say he's going to be the face of the franchise. But no, I don't feel comfortable starting Allen Robinson.
He was 2 for 27 on 6 targets this week on the season. I think this is what really highlights it. He's 10 catches, 81 yards, and a touchdown.
Right.
On 21 targets. And he has Detroit and Vegas upcoming. So that's something, if you were an Allen Robinson, if he was on your team, you're like, that's awesome. But now you don't even know if you can play him just because you don't know if he's going to be able to get the ball. And it's so tough to have a talent like that.
Right.
That you're just kind of hoping, he's reliant on whoever can get him the ball. And whoever can get him the ball is relying on the offensive line working out. So that's just a quick lesson on how football works.
Right.
But it's also just the sad story of Allen Robinson's career, really.
Right. I think,
would you start any of the Raiders receivers over him at this point?
Yes.
All of them?
At least 2. Maybe even the third guy who you were really high on, but I still think he's the third option. But I'd go Renfrow, Ruggs. Edwards would be a little bit of a toss-up between Robinson because Robinson has more pure potential than Edwards, in my opinion. And
I'm starting all 3 of them.
So tough, though, because if the Bears can get this line figured out, even if they just move Robinson in a little bit and commit to a little bit more trickery to try to free people up, I could see this offense, because they're young and they're athletic. They have tools in place to be great. Or not great, but at least good.
At least more than 68 yards in a game.
Yeah. rough if you're a Chicago fan. But on the other side of the ball, though, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, just doing what they do. That's kind of it. They're just good at football.
Is Hunt now the most valuable handcuff in fantasy?
I think he always was, right?
I know you're really high on Pollard.
Well, yeah, I think that was just a short-sighted comment on my I don't even view Kareem Hunt as a handcuff really because of so much. He has so much standalone value.
That's what I mean. He has if Nick Chubb ever were to get hurt, which is very unlikely because Nick Chubb's just a human tank.
Yeah, it happened last year, and it's weird that Hunt didn't have the production. I don't think Hunt's production changes too much, actually, if Chubb were to get hurt. I think they like Demetric Felton. I think Chubb gets a few more carries, or Hunt gets a few more carries, excuse me. But I don't think too much changes. He's still in that kind of RB2, just has a little bit more upside, right? I don't think his volume changes crazily, which I think says a lot about the volume that he gets as a backup running back.
Right. I mean, he outperformed Nick Chubb this week. He outperformed, if I look at all the running backs, he was the second running back this week in full point PPR, just behind Najee Harris. So, I mean, depending on the league you're in, great week. He seems to be the predominant obviously the predominant catching back out there, but he's also an explosive runner.
That touchdown run was awesome. He's just so elusive, so slippery.
Right. I think him and Chubb back there together, great combination. Chubb can loosen up the defense, and then Hunt can come in, and it's a great combination for the Browns. Not so much if you're a Chubb owner. Yeah.
I think that's the thing. He loosens them up, and then he just pounds them. You know?
I mean, he definitely pounds them.
Just pounds. I think that's a great strategy.
Yeah, fantastic.
Last person I want to talk about quick is Odell. One person on the show might have been asked actually, what do you actually expect for Odell? And I was like 5 catches, maybe or one person. I don't want to say I said it.
Right.
One person said, I don't know, 5 catches, 60 to 80 yards. Odell finished with 5 catches, 77 yards, which, for reference, is within that 60 to 80 range.
Right.
9 targets, also had a rush for 10 yards.
He did.
I think it's what we expected from Odell. Odell also said after the game that he was a little gassed. So I expect him to play a little bit more or just get a little bit more of his feet underneath him. I didn't see the snap counts for it.
I can look real quick.
How much he was on the field. But I expect Odell to be the primary option here, obviously, and a target, just a target monster. That's what he's going to be. It's so hard to find somebody that's going to get 10 plus targets or 9 plus targets a game, and I think Odell is one of those people.
Odell had 52 snaps, 64% of the downs.
Yeah, he's going to be out there more often.
He had a great showing. Not what I thought. I thought they would try to protect him a little more. But hey, I'm not a coach. What do I know about player safety? Huh? Not a thing, I guess. Coming back from a torn ACL, let's just play him when a game's already over. What do I know? It works out so good for teams like the Steelers. Oh, wait, no. He's out. Ha. Fuck. What do I know? Nothing. No, I don't think he should have played as much, to be honest. He looked great when he was out there. So obviously you knew he was fine. But I would have tried the progressive, let him run it again. I mean, Khalil Mack did go down, so hopefully he's okay. But the Bears' defense was not what it could have been, or what it was in the beginning of the game even. Beginning of the game, I thought it was going to be 9-6 end of the game. I thought it was going to be a field goal fest.
Yeah. Odell, the Bears offense probably didn't help the defense much either by not
No.
moving the ball. They were on the field the whole game. But I have a feeling Odell is going to be one of our big disagreements throughout the show. Did we put a bet on Odell last week? I said he would finish as top 30 receiver.
You said end of the season he'll finish as top 30.
Yeah, that's
Right.
I thought that's what I just said.
I
But
thought you said this week.
no.
Oh no. So
Okay.
far he is the 87th, so he is on track to be
to be 87.
He's on track, yeah. I mean, people like Donovan Peoples-Jones, who have played all 3 games, are 110. So
We'll see. Yeah, we'll talk about that more.
yeah. I mean, it was a good game for Odell. I just thought that they might try to cushion him a little bit more, especially since they just lost Jarvis Landry the week before.
I mean, they did. He only played, 60% of snaps, we're saying, right?
Right, but he only missed 20 plays. Awesome.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he was out there 52 snaps, and they had 76 total.
All right.
So
we'll see. Let's move on to Baltimore at Detroit. Obviously, an unreal ending.
Mm-hmm.
I think this game, the spread on this game was wild. I think especially because no one else knew what I didn't know. And I had no idea that Baltimore was without 7 defensive starters. I don't know how that wasn't publicized as much as I was to know about it.
I don't know how any of us were supposed to know.
But they did end up by just like a good bounce getting a win. I think we figured out this Detroit backfield. Swift. I think he's an RB1. He's RB4 on the year right now. And I think he's on RB1. He's RB3 on the year in half point PPR. I think he's RB4.
He's RB3 and full point PPR.
Okay. So RB3 on the year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's put up 2 20-plus point games.
Yeah.
Where he's been under 4 yards per carry. So if he's ever going to be efficient, he's going to be unreal. Exactly. So he's not even running the ball well, and he's putting up monster weeks for you.
Right.
I think he isn't I don't know if he's going to be a top end RB1, but I think he's certainly in the RB1 back end, middle end conversation.
No, I put the same thing. I said Swift is the best back. 5 exclamation points. He looks great. Numbers speak for themselves. He had a down week against Green Bay, but who cares when he puts up almost 25 points at 2 other weeks? I mean, you're going to take it. He looks good. It was a tough loss. I've heard a lot of people complain. I didn't get to see the play. But I heard a lot of people complain about the refs on that last little bit.
It did look like there's some where they let them go, where they're not delay games, but that looked like, all right, what are we ever going to call it? So that was a tough one for Lions fans. Not that Lions fans are not used to tough ones, but Baltimore backfield is also something to talk about. Tyson Williams, I wrote down, is the only guy that needs to be rostered, even after being out carried. I just think that he's the only running back that needs to be rostered here because, like I said earlier, I don't think Latavius gets the load of the work if anything was to happen to Tyson Williams. Tyson Williams catches all the passes, and he's just more productive. So that's kind of that.
Yeah, Mark Andrews looked fantastic. Let's just give credit where credit's due. Not a tight end that, I mean, obviously people knew about Mark Andrews coming into the year, but he wasn't considered a top guy. 7 targets.
He was considered a top guy coming into the year, but
he wasn't
after the first 2 weeks.
But he wasn't drafted like one, though.
I think he was going to the 4th tight end off the board.
He was that high?
Yeah, I'll pull it up, but I believe that's where he was going in drafts.
I see.
Not obviously like very far outside of the top 3, but
Right, the top 3 guys were like considered clear and above. He's looked really good. Like he looked real good. Like he looks like he's starting to come into it a little bit here.
yeah, again, somebody on this show, I don't know who, said that Mark Andrews was one of their top buy low candidates, and also said that he was going to have a good week.
I think you said he was one of your top buy low guys. I said he would have a good week.
I think we both said that he was going to.
Right. I think we agreed on Mark Andrews. Someone that we do not agree on led the team in rush yards for, I think, the 115th straight game for the Ravens now.
But
was Lamar Jackson. 7 rushes, 58 yards. Like I said, number 1 running back you want from Baltimore.
He's not the number 1 running back. He's the quarterback. We talked about this. I actually posted a tweet about this. How can you call a guy a running back when he's throwing for more yards than he's running for? That's not possible. I've never seen. Also, there's another quarterback that we'll talk about later that led his team in rushing, and nobody calls him a running back.
Well, if you do something one time, you're not considered a prodigy. If you do it every single time.
So you're calling Lamar quarterback prodigy?
I'm calling Lamar a running back prodigy.
Really?
Yes. Michael Jordan.
I don't think he ranks that well compared to other running backs. Because he's not a running back.
If we look at Lamar's rushing numbers this year,
it's very impressive for a quarterback. Yes.
Very impressive for a running back. If you could tell me a running back who had 12 attempts, 86 yards, week 1. Week 2, 16 rushes, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns. Week 3, 7 rushes, 58 yards. Those are like, this year, with all the injuries we're having, that's like top 12, maybe top 15 running back. Easy RB1.
I don't know about that. Whoa.
What the heck? What?
I don't know what I just tried to do. I tried to pull up my tweet because I feel like it shows it fairly well.
Right, he had 32 passing yards and a 31-yard run, so.
I did.
He did. I mean, there it is. There it is.
Very clearly.
Right.
I don't think a running back throws for more yards than they run for. So.
Hey, Michael Jordan was not known as the best baseball player ever, but hey, he still hit a home run every once in a while.
I don't know if that proves my point or yours, but I think that's a good chance to move on. I'm not worried about Hollywood. He had a bunch of drops. If he didn't have, like, all of them were touchdowns too. So he's fine. Indy, Tennessee.
Oof.
Gonna be honest.
Oof.
I wasn't pleased with this game. I tweeted another tweet that I had during this game. It's like, we're 3 weeks in, and I'm not really sure like what the Colts are good at, but
it might not be football though.
That doesn't mean that I can't be positive or keep positivity. And I think the Colts might be, I think I'd like to say we have a smart coaching staff, people who know what they're doing. And I think I'm starting to see the plan unfold. See, when you're 0-3, people think, oh, like this is a bad team. We don't even need to prepare.
Right.
And maybe the Colts are a bad team. But
I would agree.
Maybe we're not as bad as we're playing like we are. So maybe the strategy might be to make people think that we're worse than we are, so that they underestimate us, so that we can take advantage, and that's when we pounce. So I think this 0-3 thing might actually be just part of a strategy to help us in the future.
Right. I mean, that could be, but I think you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said the Colts are not a very good team.
Well, we're not very good, but we might not be very bad.
You're right. You only lost by 9 points. So
we also almost beat the Rams, and our quarterback sprained both ankles.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean,
Rams might be the best team in football.
They could be. Who knows? I mean, a takeaway from this game, as someone who's not a Colts fan, is that Hines might be the deal. Like, I know a lot of people picked Jonathan Taylor early on. But Hines is outperforming him this year, and you got Naheem Hines. Let me look at this one. Taylor was drafted 10th in this draft I'm looking at. Hines was drafted 147, so about 100 picks apart, and you're getting a guy who is outperforming his counterpart. I don't know what he was in other leagues, but he is rostered in 68% of leagues and starting in 6%. I think those numbers should be a little higher.
But can you start Hines like with any confidence? I'm not starting. I'm also worried about Jonathan Taylor. He was good. He was very effective.
Jonathan Taylor was a better rusher for sure.
We didn't run him in the second half.
Right, but they were also down, which is going to be a recurring theme for the Colts. I think if they play good teams, they're going to need passing backs in, and Hines showed it with he had 6 targets, 5 receptions, 54 yards, and he's not a terrible rusher. I mean,
Taylor did have 3 targets. Now I get your point, but
right. I mean, week 1, Hines, had a pretty good week, like 14 points for PPR. Week 2 against the Rams was atrocious. I can't sugarcoat that, but week 3 comes back with a good game. Taylor really only had week 1.
And it took him 23 touches to get there.
Right. So I think people might have been a little, self-included, could have been a little bit too high on Jonathan Taylor. I mean, we haven't seen this team fully healthy yet. Carson Wentz is made of plastic. Can confirm. Not hard plastic.
Plastic is very flexible.
Right. And
hard to break.
That's what I'm saying. He's not broken yet because he's still out there playing football, but you don't want to build your house with plastic bags.
Maybe you do. Who knows? Who am I to tell you not to?
Well,
who am I to tell the Colts not to?
Well, I mean,
or make them think that it's plastic bags, but it's really like a plastic bottle.
Yeah,
it's stronger than you think. It's still plastic, but
someone stronger.
It's probably a value deal in comparison to like glass or like
right.
a true textile. I think it's textiles.
I think so. I mean, someone who is doing remarkably well this year, who I did not. Titans might be the team that just shocked me the most this year. Ryan Tannehill out here running the ball.
Yeah, he did.
Over 10 yards a rush with this man.
That's what he does.
I can't believe it. And Derrick Henry is catching passes.
Derrick Henry is catching a lot of passes.
Derrick Henry, I think, is the number 1 back in fantasy football. Yeah, not even close. Not even close.
The Tannehill. Well, I don't even know if he scored a touchdown. I don't know if he did.
He didn't score a touchdown.
He normally does that.
Well, he scored 3 on the season, and it was all last week against Seattle. But if out of let me speak some English here.
Please.
Out of every position, quarterback, tight end, wide receiver, running back, Derrick Henry's 5th this year. And that's small part because of the fact that they're utilizing him in the pass game, which is allowing him to just go out there and run over.
And just be out there all the time.
Be out there, but also run over smaller human beings at a full head of steam.
That did happen a lot on Sunday.
I mean, I think Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill are both shocking me this year. And people who are shocking me in not the good way, A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, we got to get them involved a little bit more, in my opinion.
A.J. Brown did get hurt in the first quarter. Yeah, hamstring injury. We don't know the severity yet.
It's not his fault. He got injured. I don't think he went out there hoping to get injured. And hopefully it's a speedy recovery. But even before the injury, 2 targets, nothing. I mean,
he had a drop too. He's had a bad case of the drops this year.
Right. So it's a sophomore slump for sure this year for this guy. Same with DK. Just 2 of them just not looking as Pro Bowl-y as they did last year.
Are they in their third years?
I thought this is their second. I might have missed a year. I am a little I might be.
Maybe they did. Maybe they failed a grade. Who knows?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, who are we?
I wouldn't. Don't put that all on yourself.
Yeah.
You
Who
don't
are we to
deserve
judge
that.
if you failed a grade either? You know.
Yeah, I think obviously you're bummed about that AJ Brown thing, but I also think that it's an opportunity to buy low on him again. I thought that this was going to be the breakout week. I think if he stayed healthy, it would have been, but it's a chance to buy low on him again if you can afford to not have him for a week or two. I don't know if I want to rely on Julio. I mean, I don't mind him like as my flex option or having him on my team, but it's just weird. They just take him off the field for no reason. I don't really know. We get quotes afterwards of like, oh, like it was, I forget the language that was used for why Julio wasn't on the field, but it was not what you want to hear.
No. Usually isn't.
You normally don't want to hear a reason for Julio not being on the field.
No, usually you want to say, "Oh, Julio's on the field all the time.
Yeah.
Like he's out there. Like great."
If anything, you might say like, Julio, it's halftime. We need you to get off the field.
Right.
That's what we really want to hear.
I think it's what we're used to hearing.
But yeah, that's
just.
I think I'm pretty similar to a lot of your takeaways. Pittman is, I think, the wide receiver one in Indy. Kind of showed that 6 catches, 68 yards, 12 targets. And I also want to give a little kicker credit here. Respect the specs. I think Rodrigo Blankenship might be a stud kicker this year. The Colts all look like that team that's their offense is like good enough to get in the red zone. And when they get in the red zone, they just stop moving. So
correct.
They actually, I mean, Rodrigo did put up double digits this past week. And I just think that this is an offense where you kind of try to look for those offenses that aren't going to score a lot of touchdowns, aren't really going to be a great red zone offense to finish the deal, but good enough to move the ball. I think that this Colts offense can be that.
I agree.
As long as they keep trying to like look bad, but secretly not being that bad. So we'll see if they turn it around.
I think that's where we disagree. They just might be bad. So
I refuse to believe that. But
Blankenship is the one guy you start for.
Yeah, Blankenship is the Colts guy you want going forward.
Moving
on. I have Chargers Chiefs as the next one.
Oh, I just saw. Great segue. Andy Reid said he is doing better after falling ill.
That's awesome.
So that is good. Apparently, I didn't know. I didn't watch this game. But apparently he fell ill after or during the game against the Chargers.
I don't need Big Andy back.
Right.
We need him.
So glad he is doing better. I just got the notification saying Chiefs coach Andy Reid is in great spirits after falling ill and spending the night in the hospital after the Week 3 loss to the Chargers.
Yes, we need Andy, as do the Chiefs, who are now shockingly 1-2.
1-2. Like what a weird. I think the problem is I bet on the Chiefs to win, and that's my problem.
Both weeks.
Right. So
you are the problem.
I honestly I get told that a lot. Told that.
I think it's either. Yeah.
They're playing Philly next week. I am going to bet on them again. If we lose to Philly, the Chiefs, I'm saying, I think it's time you just sell every player on the Chiefs team and just rebuild completely.
I don't want to like make this like too big of a thing, but is there any chance that like I think you got to stop, man. Like, I just think that it's gone too far. Not only like are the Chiefs losing games, but like Andy Reid went to the hospital. And I don't think in good conscience you can put money on the Chiefs ever again. Because I don't want to see what happens if you do. I don't see how it gets much worse.
If Andy Reid comes out of the hospital and he's okay, which he is. He says in great spirits. I will bet on them again. If Andy Reid falls sick one more time, I'll take it as a sign to not
That's
do
a
it.
risky choice, Cody. That's a risky choice to be. Oh, if he one
Well,
more time
you know what? I actually from now on I'll only do it if I'm playing the team who has Travis Kelce or your Tyreek Hill, because
in
those guys,
fantasy.
because those guys or Patty Mahomes guys,
Yeah, no, I think then that's a good move for you. And
right,
obviously, there are pretty big consequences, but yeah, I
right.
think if you were going to choose any week to do it, then it would be that week.
Give those
Let's get into the fantasy stuff. CEH showed up. He
Yeah.
fumbled, but he still showed up. He had 100 yards on the ground, had a touchdown as well.
Right.
How do you feel about CEH?
As someone who is going to be acquiring CEH this week and will have him for next week's games, I am happy that he had a pretty good week. I mean, you kind of seen a similar thing with Saquon. Like Saquon starts real bad. I'm not saying that they're anywhere compared to the athlete as Saquon Barkley, because Saquon has bigger quads and I think Edwards-Helaire has abs, but I'm just saying their fantasy stats are similar so far. Both struggled in week 1 and 2, and then both came out for week 3 and performed. I am happy. I mean, 17 rushes, 100 yards, over 5 yards a carry against the Chargers. I'm happy. I'm a happy human being.
I don't know if Clyde Edwards-Helaire has abs. I'm not sure. He may. I'm trying to research that now.
I don't stare at him enough to know if he has abs.
Fair enough. I mean, I just had to look up Clyde Edwards-Helaire shirtless, and
Crazy is Jesus.
What's crazy is it came up as familiar, and I don't remember searching that at all. Yeah, I mean, you're definitely more happy about CH than you were, but I don't know if you're like not still scared. I don't know if there's still not reservations there because
there's still a little bit of reservations. Like obviously he fumbled, but the fact that they're continually giving him the ball,
especially after fumbling and like doing things that would typically lose trust.
But he seems to be able to keep the coach's trust, and more importantly, Patrick's trust to not call his own number, which Patty has been known to do from time to time. And he's letting him get it, and the line hasn't quit on him either. Like obviously, if you rush for over 5 yards a carry and your long is 14 yards on the game, it's consistent small runs. Which I mean, you're hoping he breaks one. Obviously, hoping he breaks a lot since he's on my team now. But I think it's more. If he came out here and had a bad week, like Williams did, got 3 points or some shit like that, I'd be panic selling at that point. Like 3 bad weeks back to back to back, especially in a close game like this where you didn't have to be
and to trust him in a close game like this.
Right. I think another thing I want to touch on this game, Patty Mahomes' no-look pass finally has backfired on him.
But it didn't. That's the thing. It was right to the guy. The problem was he was throwing to Joe Schmo. I have no idea who some of these Chiefs receivers are.
Well, I think that's also part of the Chiefs' strategy, though.
Throw it to Joe Schmo.
No. Like they have. I mean, they have. I think it was Hardman he threw to.
No.
It
was like 80.
No, it was 88
or 85.
It was 18.
No.
Hold on.
It was 88 or 85.
No, that can't be right.
That is very right, because I remember they said a guy's name and I said, I have no idea who that is. While you were looking that up, I wanted to say, don't worry about Tyreek. I think if someone's going to like panic sell him, you want to do that I would do that for almost anybody. I've been thinking, and we'll talk about Cooper Kupp later, but I've been thinking about moving Cooper Kupp for like a Tyreek Hill, like some kind of trade around that. And the thing is now, you might be able to get even more than Tyreek Hill, which is crazy. So I'm not worried about Tyreek Hill in the slightest. And some people are kind of worried about the emergence of Mike Williams with Keenan Allen. This offense is plenty good enough. If they're good enough to beat the Chiefs, they're good enough to have 2 wide receivers, like superstar wide receivers.
Right.
And not only 2 superstar wide receivers, but 2 superstar consistent wide receivers. They get the target volume. It's not like one guy's just going and making splash plays and only getting 7 targets a game. They both get over 10 targets in every single game.
Well, Mike Williams had 9, so I don't want to.
What was that?
Mike Williams only had 9 this week.
I mean,
I don't want to call you a liar or anything, but you did just say they always have over 10.
That's not going to do well towards my credit to getting to George Washington status.
No, I think you got downgraded back to Benedict Arnold. I did find the name of the receiver who Patty threw to.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Kemp, he threw to.
Yeah, I don't trust Marcus Kemp. I'm sure I would, like, if he was like, if I had like a seat in a public place and I was like, hey, could you watch that seat? I just gotta run to the bathroom real quick, Marcus. I'm sure he would be like, yeah, don't worry about it. And then when I came back, like, the seat would still be open. I'd be like, thanks, Marcus. And he'd be like, no problem. But when it comes to catching balls, particularly no-look passes from Patrick Mahomes, that's where I don't trust him.
Well, the thing I want to say, if we're just going to dig into this one play here, which you have.
Well, you did say it backfired on. I just said it did.
It did. The dude was wide open. Like, if you looked at him, it was over. Like, it was out of his hand. It was
it was like right here.
I just watched the play.
Oh, I saw it when it happened.
I just watched the play. It's over. It was over. Look it up right now. Show the people where it was, Kondo.
I think we could get like in trouble for that. So I can't pull it up. I think you need like rights to the clip, but I think it was like right here.
No, it was over. I just watched it. It was over his head and it was off target. Like, he was going this way and he threw it. It looked like the YMCA. Like, he looked like he was yogaing in this way.
While I'm sure Pat Mahomes is a big supporter of the YMCA, I don't think that's true. And I think if it was true, that would be the only reason that he did it. Is just to show his support for a good cause. I'm
just saying it wasn't like, I'm just saying it backfired. Like, Patty Mahomes is still a starter, still a great quarterback. I'm just saying, look where you're throwing the ball. It improves accuracy by a lot.
Patty Mahomes.
He threw 2 interceptions this game, which is a little uncharacteristically bad for Patty.
Yeah, wasn't his best day, but it's Pat Mahomes. He's fine. New Orleans at New England. Battle of the News. That is
true.
Kamara was unleashed. I think this is the most carries like I've ever seen him get by a ton. I think he had 28 carries.
24.
24. Still a ton. Mm-hmm. My question is, can you roster not only, and you have one of these guys on one of your rosters, I know, not only like start, because I don't think you're starting any Saints wide receiver, but I don't know if you can roster a Saints wide receiver at this point. Callaway had 12.1 fantasy points.
Right.
But I think he has 11 targets on the year, 7 catches for 63 yards, and 1 touchdown through 3 games.
Yeah, he
would probably be the guy, if any, but I don't think you could roster any.
I have Callaway. I just thought coming into the season, he would get more targets. And I guess my thought was that Jameis Winston would not come out week 1, throw 5 touchdowns. I don't even know who, to be honest, looking at the roster. No idea how he threw the 5 touchdowns. But, oh, wow, that is messed up. Whew. Looking at the site, and it says Jameis Winston threw 128 touchdowns and 2 interceptions yesterday, but he got you 17 fantasy points. And I said, that can't be correct.
I don't think it can be.
No. But no, I think Callaway is a worthy bench spot, like, unless your team needs it. Like, they won the game and they blew it out. Like, it was. I feel like if it's more of a shootout, he might get more potential come like later in the season. I mean, yeah, the targets are improving every week, but I'd like to see him have more targets before I'd even put him in my flex or anything. Like, I looked at him, I said, I'll keep you on my team. I kept him over AJ Green just because they have more. He has more of a clear shot at being the number one right now in New Orleans than AJ Green does, especially until Michael Thomas comes back.
I would rather have AJ Green than Callaway.
You,
I would not roster Callaway just because of the opportunity. I think that offense has a lot of things to figure out, and I'm not sure they figure it out until like we're already halfway through when we expect Michael Thomas to come back. So obviously I would roster him, but I think outside of that, I'm staying away. Now, if you choose to have Callaway, I think that's like fine. I don't think like I'm telling you need to. I think he's a fine end of the bench guy.
I'm not telling you need to have him. I'm just saying if you're going to roster someone, roster Callaway. If you don't have Michael Thomas on your IR spot right now.
Gotcha. His identity is Bourne. Kendrick Bourne. That was a joke from Red Zone. He had a really cool touchdown, but not a guy that I'm looking at. He did go off in fantasy, so he's probably going to be somebody that people talk about for waivers, but not a guy I'm relying on. There's a bunch of other weapons, and it's New England who is not going to put up a ton of points.
He is rostered in 46% of leagues, starting in 2%, which don't know who started him. As someone who has him on my bench, like I have yet to see him. Like he had 2.4 points, 2.8 points, and then this week he has 14.1. Like you are in a very deep 16-team league to start Callaway right now.
Bourne?
Yes, Jason Bourne.
Okay. Don't panic on Najee too much. Too much, I wrote. Just because like
Najee, what team are you talking?
Not Najee. I wrote it's Harris. Damian Harris. Too much. Definitely don't panic on Najee. Don't panic on Damian Harris too much. Just know what he is. He's the lead back for a team that's gonna have to air it out sometimes because they're not too good.
Right.
So, I mean, he's just kind of kept into his role. He's not going to be a RB2 that you're like feeling great about.
No.
And not much upside other than just like getting a lot of the carries and scoring a touchdown.
Right.
Atlanta. What was that?
Did we finish talking? I just wanted to say Mac Jones. Interesting game for Mac. Threw it 51 times against the Saints. Didn't look uber productive, but I think that it's interesting to look at Kendrick Bourne and Jacoby Myers, both with close to 10 targets. Myers had 14, Bourne had 8. Just the fact that they're getting all these looks might be something that people want to keep like an eye on for a couple weeks.
So
I don't think you roster these guys right now, but I think you just look at them. And
you don't think you roster Jacoby Myers? Well, so I think Jacoby Myers is rostered in a lot of ways.
I think he is. He's in 50.
I think Jacoby Myers is a fine guy to have and fine guy to play.
He is. He's rostered in 59% of leagues and started in 6.8. So he on the year he has 36 points and he got you half of them today.
I think Jacoby Myers is a fine guy if you need like a wide receiver fill in, or if you need just like a high floor guy. If you need a guy that's safer, I think Jacoby Myers could be that guy.
Yeah, I mean, he deserves a roster spot. I mean, obviously over half the leagues, someone has him rostered. But Bourne rostered in 0.4%. He's someone I want to keep looking at for a few weeks, just to see if Bill Belichick's like, hey, we might have something here. But Bourne, who had 6 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown,
agreed.
Maybe I don't know.
Not a guy that I trust yet. They have a lot of guys there. We'll see. Atlanta at New York. This game just sucked.
Hey.
It did. I mean, if you watch, I'm very active on Twitter. So
are
you
on the
guys want to be entertained with whatever I say, please follow me there. I think it's a good time. Uh, Atlanta might be the worst football team to like exist, and I don't think that changes with this win.
That's some strong
Quarter-
criticism for a team that has the same record as the Chiefs. 3 weeks, almost 4 into the season. So that's some strong criticism. I'm gonna need to hear some.
I think if Atlanta played either the Ravens or the Chargers,
Right.
their heads might explode.
I
I
mean,
just think it's like a different league that they are not in right now. Their offense,
they played Philly with a tough run defense, and Tampa Bay.
and they got destroyed.
I'm not saying they didn't. I'm just saying they played 2 tough teams already.
I don't know. I don't think Philly's like that good. Not yet.
Well, they played tonight, so
Yeah. Cordell Patterson is a fantasy asset, which is gross to say, but like he's probably one of the more reliable guys on this team. The running backs, just because of how shallow running back is, I think are assets.
Mhm.
My suggestion to anybody who has not watched the Falcons, and I think anybody who has watched the Falcons offense would also say this, trade Ridley and Pitts immediately. While they are like,
that is interesting, Kondo.
I think they are awesome players, but this offense just looks so lost, and they might figure it out.
Mhm.
I think Ridley is going to get a ton of volume, but he's not going to return close to where he was drafted. He was getting drafted as wide receiver 6. And
you said he will finish as a wide receiver 6 or 7 this year.
I mean, I said that I had him as my 5th wide receiver. I didn't know the Falcons were just going to be booty. I didn't know their offense was going to be this bad.
I don't think you're doing a service to Booty, because Booty be rocking everywhere. Falcons only seem to be rocking 1 out of every 3, so not everywhere.
So I mean, I'm just really I would be very worried, and I think their name value is enough to still get a good amount at this point. And Ridley's not playing bad. It's not like Ridley is. Yeah, it's not like Ridley's bad. I think he's a very good player, and he's getting volume, but it's just not converting into anything big. And if you get a guy that could possibly have a little bit of upside, I would take that deal.
I mean, he got you 10 points this week against the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he got you 10 points against Philly. He got you, or actually got you less than 10 points against Philly. Sorry, he got you like 7 points against Philly. Against Tampa Bay, he got a touchdown, so that obviously boosts you up a little bit. But he's hovering around 10 points as like a ceiling right now, basically, for this guy.
I don't know if you could even do this. But if Amari Cooper doesn't have a great week this week, I would trade him for like Amari Cooper.
I don't.
Quickly.
If you owned Amari Cooper, well, maybe it's dumb to ask you because you have Calvin Ridley as your 5th ranked wide receiver. But
I did. I don't think I was very far off from Public said he was the 6th best wide receiver. So I wasn't it's not like I was the outlier there by having him at 5.
No, I mean, you weren't. I've been telling you since I've seen your rankings, I just did not like where he was. Just thought it was a bad spot for him. And I felt like he's a number 2 wide receiver on a team. I feel like he needs someone to take pressure off of him.
I don't think so. I don't think it's like a him issue. I think it's the offense. They keep running freaking 2 running backs, and you don't even have one good running back on this team. Mike Davis is okay.
Hey, I love Cordell Patterson. I love this guy.
The guy was the 4th string running back on the Bears.
The
Bears. It's not. It just makes no sense. We're using an offense that has never been known for running the ball.
Right.
Since Mike Vick, they have not been known for running the ball. Okay. Or Michael Turner. Okay. And we're trying to turn them into a power run offense like the Titans. Personnel-wise, it just doesn't work. And they just don't. I don't get Arthur Smith has no interest in trying to utilize his personnel for what it is. It's insane. It's not fantasy conducive. So I would look to get rid of any of those receiver options. And I think you can for like a very good price, considering how bad they looked against the Giants. Oh, no. We lost him. We lost him. I think he'll be back. This is all pretty awesome. I can just say whatever dumb opinions I have right now and not get called. Oh, well.
Am I here?
Yeah, now I might get
Am
called.
I here?
Yes.
There I am.
All
right. So, did you hear what I said or no?
I don't know. What did you say?
You break up every time you talk to me.
I think that's a you thing. Yeah, this is trouble.
I don't think so.
We're gonna let Cody figure that out, and then we're gonna keep going because we have a ton of games to get to. So I'm gonna kick him out, kick Toady right to the turb, and then he's gonna come back, and we're gonna have this all straightened out. In the meantime, yeah, I would trade both of those guys. Saquon is back, like for real. His rushing numbers weren't anything impressive. I think he was 16 for 51 on the ground. Not anything that you're like super pumped about, but like that's what Saquon was. Like even when Saquon was good, his rushing numbers, like yards per carry wise, weren't awesome. Like that he never was that consistency like guy or that efficiency guy. He was just a volume guy and could also catch out of the backfield. And I think that's what Saquon's doing. And I feel very good as a Saquon Barkley owner after yesterday's game. What about you, Cody?
I missed everything you have.
I just said that Saquon's back.
Oh yeah, I mean I said that when we talked about CEH. I said that him and Saquon are starting to look better. I mean obviously Saquon did not do what we all expect Saquon to do, but he is definitely right on the track to like be the number.
I think he did.
Well, no, I mean 16 rushes for 51 yards and a touchdown.
That's what we expect from Saquon. I think
I expect Saquon to like 4 or 5 yards a carry and just run.
Not on that Giants team.
But that's what I'm not.
He has in the past. Like that's
what I'm saying. Like he has in the past. That's Saquon.
No, he hasn't.
He hasn't.
I don't think so. Like I think this is the kind of game you expect from Saquon, where it's a ton of catches and his catching efficiency will be fine, but his rushing efficiency is has always been inconsistent. I'm not worried about Saquon. I feel very good about Saquon.
I mean, all right. So if I went back to the 2018 season,
is that his rookie year?
Yes,
rookie year.
2018, he averaged 5 yards a carry.
That's rookie year.
2019, he averaged 4.6 yards a carry. So, like I said, 4 to 5 yards a carry, what I expect from Saquon. Last year, he was injured.
I don't expect that. I don't expect that efficiency. I guess I was wrong in the past, but I don't expect that efficiency this year.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But when you drafted Saquon, like when he came into the league, he was like he was a top 10 pick. And he performed like it. I mean, 1,300 yards, 700 yards receiving. Great. Year 2 kind of came down to earth a little bit. 1,000 yards, 400 yards receiving. Still close to a 1,500 yard season. Pretty good. He had a lot less carries. They tried to use him less.
Well, I think he played less too, right?
I can't remember. I don't know his personal hygiene or diet or anything like that. Last year he was injured. Almost averaged 1.8. This year he's averaging 3.4. Like I said, he's getting close to being back towards like Saquon numbers. Like if he can average like 4.5 yards a carry, like that's the Saquon I think a lot of people are looking to have back. Like
I think if he averages 4.5 yards a carry, he's going to be in consideration for the top running back this year. I don't think that's going to happen.
Which is what people want out of Saquon Barkley.
But I think that was the upside. I don't think people were investing in Saquon being I think Saquon is going to be like a 3.8 to like 4.2. guy just because that Giants offensive line isn't very good at all. But yeah, I think that if this is what I'm getting out of Saquon week in and week out, I'm very happy.
I'm happy with the receiving. I'm not happy with the rushing. I want the rushing to be closer to what it was and what people expect. Like Christian McCaffrey, you expect 1,000. Like the dude, like a walking 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving. Like you expect that from Saquon or from Christian. That's why he was the number one pick. You expect Saquon to like run the ball down people's throat when he's healthy, like 1,000-yard season. And then since he's on the Giants, you expect him to get a bunch of targets. Like who else do they have really? That's what a lot of people picked because when you had Saquon on the board, you could have had Elliott on the board. You definitely had Najee Harris. You had all the wide receivers. You might have even had Kelsey still. Like you picked him, hoping to get those numbers that you can get out of Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, there's definitely high expectations. One last thing I want to talk about in this game is Slayton and Shepard both had hamstring injuries. We don't know severity on either. You would imagine that's Kenny Galladay thing, but like that's yet to be seen. He didn't play like unreal.
Evan Ingram did come into this game first week back. Not a good fantasy week, but a good eye test week. He had 6 passes thrown his way. And for a team that only passed it, 30? Where is it? They passed it 35 times. He got 6 targets. That's close to like a 15 to 20% target share for this guy in his first week back. Like with everyone, I mean, obviously Shepard got banged up.
Yeah, especially with those injuries, that could be huge.
But I think that it's a encouraging sign that Evan Ingram might. I don't think he will be back to where he was when he first came into the league, but definitely a tight end worth looking at if you have a banged up tight end or just no one and you're streaming one or you're picking one up week to week.
Agreed. 100% agree. Cincinnati beat Pittsburgh. They also, fun little fact for you, snapped a 75-game streak of Pittsburgh sacking the Cincy quarterback when they played each other.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
We called I don't have much from this game.
I think I have 2 lines from this game. I said Burrow looks great.
He made some very good throws.
He went 14 for 18, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. So he only had 3 balls hit the ground. So honestly, heck of a good week. Joe Mixon looked great. Wide receivers, as everyone knows, are just going to be by committee. I mean, Boyd had the most targets, but Chase had the more productive day. They got 3 guys back there. Joe Burrow looked good. I mean, I think it was a good bounce back week for Joe.
We called Chase and Claypool, Jamar Chase and Chase Claypool. We said that they were going to have big weeks. Mm-hmm. They both delivered on that. Juju had a rib injury. We'll learn more throughout the week.
Right.
And I'd be remiss to not say that Najee had 14 catches on 19 targets.
Yeah.
Which is unreal. But
I mean, apparently Bengals run defense is just too good.
The Bengals might be a good defense, which is weird.
I don't know. Maybe Najee Harris isn't a good runner. That might also be
How is that true? Well, we do not have time to argue.
I mean,
nonsense.
All right. Well, this year, I'll just say the numbers real quick. 40 attempts, 120.
Okay. Well, we can talk about this year, that year, whatever. If he's behind a bunch of friggin' stone feet on the offensive line, doesn't matter. Saquon Barkley, doesn't matter. Moving on. Arizona at Jacksonville. Jacksonville looked like they had a shot until they didn't. James Robinson, managers, ecstatic. He had a good day.
He
finally was like the number one guy, 15 carries with 88 yards and a touchdown.
Correct.
Marvin Jones is kind of surprisingly the number one in this offense. Number one receiver. Chark is the number one in the red zone. I think that's how I saw the game as far as these Jacksonville receivers go.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Arizona receivers. It was an interesting one. AJ Green having the big day, as you talked about earlier.
Right.
I think there's too many to really know consistently. We kind of talked about that last week. I said I thought it was going to be Rondale Moore or Kirk, but I wasn't sure which.
Well, it definitely was not Rondale Moore.
Rondale Moore did not. I said don't play Rondale Moore, so we were good with that.
Right.
But I think Rondale Moore is still my favorite out of these guys.
Okay.
I think just they think of really creative ways to get him open, and I mean, I just like him as a player. I think you kind of just have to trust your gut, and everyone's going to have a different answer. So he's just my guy.
Right. Yeah. I had AJ Green, shocking. I said I dropped him, so no figure. For those who don't know, I had Dalvin Cook, no other running backs on my team, or I had one other running back on my team, but he was already my RB2.
We'll talk about that.
Right. But I was just letting everyone know that why I dropped AJ Green before he went off for the best game of his of the season for me, but not for me. Sorry.
Is that a little house tour?
No, the phone kind of fell. So.
Gotcha.
One other takeaway I had from this game: Trevor Lawrence just not living up to the hype. I can't hold my tongue any longer. Just don't think it's good. Don't think
Really?
it's. Well, I already was ready to just question him week 1 when he went 3 for 3. Not 3 for 3 passing, just 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. It's hard to win football games when you're just giving their team more opportunities to score against you. This year, he has let me just look this up real quick, 54% completion percentage, 5 touchdowns for his team, and 7 interceptions thrown to their team. It's hard to win football games when you have a quarterback giving the ball to their team as consistently as Trevor Lawrence is. He's doing it.
Consistency is key, though.
Right. So I'd start every defense that you can against Trevor Lawrence until he has otherwise proved that he's not just going to throw it away. And so I think James Robinson and by default Hyde will increase in value if Trevor Lawrence can't seem to get this figured out. I feel like there might just be all right, we're just going to run it 55 times this game. Trevor, you're just going to stand there, hand the ball off, try not to throw the ball, and maybe they might actually start winning something.
I don't know. I think they put him in a lot of bad situations. I mean, he's throwing the ball a ton too.
But he had 2 late fumbles, which were on him.
I don't think that it's not 100% not his
And then
fault.
he had 2 interceptions in the game. One was a pick 6. I mean, come on. You're literally giving the other team points at this point against the Cardinals, who are a good team, but Cardinals played bad. If the Jaguars played good football, they could have won this game. I'll say it. Cardinals are not a team that is
They certainly didn't look unbeatable.
No, that's what I mean. If the Jaguars didn't, I think that Trevor Lawrence hurt him this game, and I think that it would have been a much needed morale boost for the Jags.
Morale is very important too.
It is, especially when your quarterback is just terrible.
We'll go on to this game, which we don't really have to talk too much about. I'm not even going to pretend that there's any fantasy relevant information to talk about with the Jets. With the Broncos, Melvin Gordon's a serious flex consideration now, especially if they play against bad teams, which they kind of have all year. I've seen the thing, the Broncos, 3-0, combined opponents, 0-9. So definitely some concerns out there that the Broncos might not be for real, and warranted. I'm not worried about Fant or Sutton. Those are kind of the big fantasy guys.
Right.
especially with what?
I said you are a fan owner, and I believe a Sutton owner too. So
yeah, but those are the two main fantasy guys, like receivers. I don't think Sutton or I don't think Fant's going to be like stud. Like I don't know, but like he's still a tight end that you're starting every week. He's not my favorite guy. Like if I could have Mark Andrews, I would rather have Mark Andrews. If I could have, I'd rather have him than Pitts though, and he's kind of like. Would you rather have him or Logan Thomas? I think that's a tough call, but I'd probably say Logan Thomas.
I think the call that you're purposely neglecting to say is would you rather have Fant over Conklin?
I would rather have Fant.
The correct answer is that you would rather have Conklin, but we'll get to that game when we get to that game because that's my game, baby.
And Hamler did tear his ACL in this game, so that's going to open things up for those guys even more. I think Tim Patrick is also someone that we're going to talk about looking at, especially with all the injuries happening at receiver.
Tim Patrick, he has 12 receptions on the year. Sutton has 15, and with Jerry Jeudy out and now another wide receiver out, Patrick's someone who you might want to, if he, I don't know what percentage of the leagues he's rostered in, but if he's not rostered in your league, maybe consider getting him if you have no tight ends or wide receivers. Sorry, jeez.
Maybe even if you don't have a tight end.
If you don't have a tight end, hey, you might be able to trade him for someone.
Yeah, I have a feeling if he is not rostered in 50% of leagues, which I don't think he is, he will be. Real quick. He will be in our waiver consideration.
Definitely a consideration. Tim Patrick is an astonishing 14% of leagues.
Okay.
So we were barely right. It was a close call.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that one?
We'll talk about him tomorrow then.
For sure.
Miami at Vegas, big performers. I said going in the week, I think this is the week for Renfrow. He finally gets in the end zone. Got in the end zone.
Knew he would. I've been a strong Hunter Renfrow guy.
I think I'm with you. I think I'm like fully like we had I don't know if it was like a kind of bet, but it was before the show started.
Right. We had a bet that I said Hunter Renfrow would finish better than Edwards, and you were really high on Edwards. We haven't seen Hunter Renfrow play yet, and you said that you believe Brian Edwards will be better. I mean, in the beginning, it did. Week one, it was scary. I'll admit it. I mean, Edwards got the touchdown, and I was like, oh, titties.
But Edwards did not. Did he get a touchdown?
Week one, Brian Edwards got a touchdown. Oh, wait, sorry. No, he didn't. I lied.
No, he did, and then he didn't.
Right.
But he outscored Renfrow by 0.1.
Right, but Hunter Renfrow, I've always liked him. I thought he was good. Maybe not if you can get better wide receivers, you might want to get him. But I definitely like him as like a low end 2 and definitely a flex play at the least. He should definitely be rostered, and if not, potentially starting depending on your wide receiver situation.
Yeah, I mean, he's the perfect bye week fill-in. He's kind of like Sterling Shepard light or Cole Beasley light, or one of those guys, those slot receivers that get a bunch of targets. I love Hunter Renfrow. Like, I still think Brian Edwards could outscore Renfrow on the year. He did have the most yards in the game.
Right.
But I'm rooting for Hunter Renfrow at this point. I think I'm just like an all-in Hunter Renfrow guy. Like, I like him.
I will. So this is an interesting stat here. Who out of Ruggs, Renfrow, and Edwards, in what order do you think they have the most targets this year?
Targets, it's 100% Renfrow, 1.
Renfrow, and then is it Ruggs, Edwards, or Edwards, Ruggs?
It's probably close. I'm going to go Ruggs, Edwards, although
you are correct with going that one. But Hunter Renfrow is leading this wide receiver trio in terms of targets. Has been declining each week, but he is performing better each week.
And he's getting them in the red zone. He's getting them where it counts.
Right.
Too. It's not like he's just kind of picking up yards throughout, and then when they go to the goal line, they look at the big receivers. He's getting targets there too.
Right.
Peyton Barber, has went from like someone that none of us believed in to someone that now we have to like look at
Right.
whether we want to or not. We'll probably talk about him more tomorrow, I imagine, but he had a huge game.
He did. Peyton Barber just showed up to play. 23 attempts, 111 yards. Just looked good, played better. And he was involved in the passing game too, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, especially with Drake there.
Right. He for the 5.7% of people who started him, congratulations, you might have won your week. With that,
Peyton Barber might have won you your week.
I'm pretty sure he did. I mean, he doubled his projected. He got 23.2 points, 21.5, I think, if you're in half-point PPR. Like a monster week for a guy who is the third to fourth string back on the Vegas Raiders.
Yeah. I wrote for the Dolphins. Waddle is the clear number one.
Mm-hmm.
Fuller didn't really get involved that much. And Gesicki is worth a shot, although I'm not sure either are like guys that you're going out and seeking. But if you have them, you could feel worse about them, I suppose.
Right. I mean, I just don't. I got nothing to say about Dolphins wide receivers.
Yeah, that's.
I like to stay away from the whole Dolphins organization. I just don't trust them yet. But yeah, Waddle.
Some people don't trust Dolphins.
I don't.
Which is also a fair thing.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you never. Well, how do we know what an animal's thinking until
they think it out loud?
Exactly. Like we don't.
And then there's no Ed Sheeran Dolphins that I know of.
Not that I'm aware of.
Seattle, Minnesota. This is your game. I can let you take the lead on this one if you want.
I gotta start off by saying very sad. Dalvin Cook was out.
We had a bet.
We did, and it was a bad bet on my part. But what everyone was saying, like Minnesota was saying, all the beat reporters, Dalvin's gonna play. Found out at probably 8:00 on the morning Sunday. Woke up and they said, "Hey, Dalvin Cook's not playing." And I said, "Well, okay." So that kind of sucked, but hey, we had a good win anyway, though. We beat the Seahawks. I thought it was a quality win. I think Seahawks are good teams. If you beat the Seahawks, I think it classifies you as a good team. I think Seahawks are not a terrible team this year. I think they
are 1-2.
I mean,
as are the Falcons.
As are the Chiefs. So, I mean, if we're going to call out numbers here, we can call out numbers till the paint dries. Ravens should be 1-2 too, but hey, the rest just want to do a little over there.
My goodness.
Yeah. They were sucking something last night. Unbelievable. But no, Justin Jefferson came out to play. Proved I was starting to think I knew he was going to have a good week. I was saying he was a good buy low guy before the week. Tyler Conklin, my TE baby. I called it before the season. I said in my dream he's going to outperform every single tight end. Week 2 or week 3, sorry. And when he did come out here, 20 points.
How did he do in week 2?
Week 2, he did pretty good too. 3.5 points. So he came out. He was the only tight end in week 3 to have 20 fantasy points. So I'm going to toot my own horn there. He is on my team. If you want to trade for him, good luck.
That's sick.
Yeah.
You start him?
No, start George Kittle.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I said I'm getting rid of George Kittle. Might as well get 1 week out of him and ship him off. So
there you go. And now you have Tyler Conklin just rocked and ready to go.
Yeah, you know.
So you did. Our bet was who would score more this week. I believe it was between Zach Moss and Dalvin Cook.
No, you said Latavius Murray.
I thought I said either, but that could also work.
I said if Dalvin Cook plays, he will score more points. Obviously, if he doesn't play, he won't.
No, that's not what you said.
That is what I said.
No, it is not what you said.
Play the tape.
You said that Dalvin was going to score more this week.
I said
because you expected him to play.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot influence your expectation of him to play or not. And I'm pretty sure it was Zach Moss as well. So
was it Zach?
It might have been either. I think it might have been either. It doesn't really matter because
I mean, Dalvin
both
Cook,
out. I mean, spoiler alert, both outscored Dalvin Cook, who did not play.
right? They did indeed. I mean, I'll give you credit, I guess, for saying that someone who was on the not playing list was outscored by Latavius Murray, who did play. He was not that far behind him, though. I will say that.
I'll give you credit for saying that a guy who some thought would not play, a good chunk of people thought would not play, including me, would outscore two guys who did play.
Right.
Regardless of who it was. Tyler Lockett avoided serious injury. I don't know. He returned to the game, so I imagine he's going to be okay. It looks like a scary situation. He kind of got rolled on, but you can kind of take a deep sigh if you are a Lockett owner.
Mm-hmm.
We will move on. I don't know if you have anything else for this game.
I just wanted to say, hope Tyler Lockett's okay. DK Metcalf came out to play. That's a good first.
Broke out. Yeah.
Right. He had a good game finally this year. I said you should try to get rid of Tyler Lockett before this game. I did say he was a sell high guy earlier this week. It's going to be a little bit tougher now that DK Metcalf is out here performing again. It would have been easier if DK was still performing like week 1 and 2. But I'm glad DK Metcalf came out to play for people who got him. It's nice to see someone perform for sure.
Yeah. Biggest game of the week, America's game of the week. Tampa Bay against the Rams. It's kind of one-sided.
Go Bears.
Now I want to bring this conversation around because you are not a fan of Lamar Jackson as a quarterback. You may put him in another position category, and you say, he led his team in rushing.
I do.
That makes him a running back.
It does.
You know who else led their team in rushing this week?
Tom the GOAT Brady, baby.
Tom Brady. So Tom Brady, who is QB1, by the way. I was high on Tom Brady coming in.
I mean, Mac Jones also led his team in rushing, but you failed to mention that.
Yeah. Mac Jones. Mac Daddy.
Yeah, big Mac Daddy. But I said
I think if anything, this puts Lamar in the conversation for the greatest of all time at quarterback.
I said Lamar leads his team in attempts. Tom only led there in the yards. He did not lead them in attempts.
Well,
you are wrong.
Wait. So are you saying that you said Lamar Jackson would lead his team in attempts? Because he didn't. He tied for the lead.
I say he has led his team. Like if you look back through all the weeks.
Well, we won't.
Well, I will.
Dig through the history books. Why don't you just try to find a reason?
Well, I already have reasons. But Tom Brady, I'm glad he's mobile again. I mean, 50 or 58, I think, this year I heard that is the new 25. So glad that Tom is able to perform again. It was a valiant effort, but it wasn't enough to beat the Rams, who are doing very well this year.
Just the secondary for Tampa is having a ton of injuries, not helping their cause. As for the Rams,
Cooper Kupp is the real deal, and Robert Woods, I don't know what's going on. Against a banged up.
It's just Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp looking great, but Robert Woods against a bang up Tampa Bay team, 6 targets, only 3 receptions. He had a big 20-yarder, but you want to see more consistency. Like you want to see more volume.
Mm-hmm.
Deshaun Jackson out here, obviously, just heck of a game. 3 catches for 120 yards. So obviously that skews the numbers a little bit, but still, I feel like you want a little bit more out of Woods right now.
Yeah, definitely worried. I was going to ask, but I think I have your answer. The panic level on him, and I think it's a little bit better than Allen Robinson. It's to the point where I think you can start him in your flex and hope for the best, just with how explosive that team is. But you're certainly not feeling great about Robert Woods for where you drafted him. I have a question about Cooper Kupp.
I will gladly answer.
And it's not one that I'm happy that I'm asking, but it's one I feel like you have to ask at this point.
Right.
Cooper Kupp is wide receiver 1. He's averaging 26.2.
Rightfully so, he is.
4 points per game ahead of the second wide receiver, and 2 points more than Derrick Henry, most out of any non-quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Do you trade Cooper Kupp? Like, I almost feel like I have Cooper Kupp in, I think, two out of 3 leagues. I almost feel like I have to think about it. Like, his value can't get higher. I mean, he can be a wide receiver 1, but it can't get higher.
So Cooper Kupp has 25 receptions this year, 300
touchdowns.
Right, 367 yards and 5 touchdowns. We've played 3 games, over 120 yards a game, about like 8 to 9 receptions a game, and 1.5 to 2 touchdowns a game. Like, the touchdown numbers are obviously going to dissipate coming up.
Good word.
Thank you. I learned a dictionary one time. I don't think. Obviously, the touchdowns have to go away. He's not going to finish the season with 30-something touchdowns. Not going to happen. Just can't do it. Well, he could do it, and I hope he does as long as he's on my team. If he's not on my team, I hope he doesn't. But I think you try to. Like, I really do, but I don't know who would be a comparable replacement. Like,
exactly.
I mean, I'm looking at the points for all the wide receivers, like throughout the 3 weeks. Mike Williams is number 2 with 77.5, and Cooper Kupp's at 91.2, like over 30 points a game, averaging.
In full point, yeah.
Yeah, full point. I mean, obviously because of all the receptions, but still, like.
I mean, I still think he's going to finish as a wide receiver 1, but his value right now is just so high.
It's so high. I feel like you can get a good offer for him because it's Mike Williams, Tyler Lockett, Adam Thielen, Devontae Adams, Brandon Cooks.
He's putting up like Christian McCaffrey numbers.
Like, yeah, like these numbers are great. I don't know if you could get McCaffrey, but you could.
I think you probably could right now with the injury. I think you could make a good effort at it.
I think if you threw in a nice, solid RB2 and Cooper Kupp.
Take that. I think if you throw in like a flex run, like a Zach Moss, I think you might be able to get it done.
It's tough because you know how good Christian McCaffrey owner knows how good Christian McCaffrey is. Like, you don't, like, obviously you know how good he is. Like, that's tough. I do think you try to break up Cooper Kupp just because I don't think he can average 30 points a game all year. Like, I don't see the Rams being this good.
It's also tough because
Henderson's
now seems like the perfect time.
Right.
But they also play Arizona and Seattle in their next 2 games, which, like, are, spoiler alert, not great against the pass. So it's a really tough call, and I don't know if I'm going to have the guts to trade him. But if someone could offer me like a comparable, like a slumping wide receiver 1, like if I could get like a Tyreek Hill and an interesting running back, I might have to think about it. Or if I could get even like lower on the totem pole of receivers and a better running back, like I might have to think about it. So
I don't know.
It's a tough call. It depends on your depth too,
Right.
like how good of a team you have.
I don't know. I'll be honest, if I had Tyreek Hill, I don't know if I'm getting rid of him for Cooper Kupp.
Interesting.
Because Tyreek Hill, he had week 1, 15 targets, like 37 points, like a boom, like if you've ever seen one for week 1. He hasn't been performing these last 2 weeks, so you know it's coming. Like, you know Tyreek Hill's talent.
Yeah.
And you know Cooper Kupp is not going to sustain this level of success all season long. So you know he's going to hit a couple down weeks coming up. So I don't know if I'd give up Tyreek, and I don't think I'd give up Devontae Adams. But besides those two, it'd be a tough call for like a lot of these other guys.
If you could trade for like I got to think of a receiver here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe get like a Jonathan Taylor, and I'm trying to think of a receiver that's not too good. If someone would give you like Taylor, and I doubt they would give you Brandon Cooks.
I mean, I just gave up Brandon Cooks for CEH, so obviously.
But would you give up Cooper Kupp for that? Jonathan Taylor and Brandon Cooks?
No, because of Jonathan Taylor though. Like it's not Cooks, because Cooks was a sell high for me, and I mean he came out. I think he had like 20 or 16 points or something like that. He had a good week. Mm-hmm. Oh, almost broke everything.
Not what you want to hear.
No, I don't know if I would do it just because of Jonathan Taylor. If someone offered me like a Najee Harris, and
I think that's enough right there. I would do it for Najee.
I don't know if I'd do it straight up for Najee.
I would.
Okay, well, I mean, hey, if I had Najee, then,
we would have a deal.
Well, I don't know, because you'd be giving me Cooper Kupp.
Uh-huh.
I'd say I'd be getting rid of Cooper Kupp, so it'd be a tough deal to do. I mean, Najee's not doing bad this year, but he's not.
Again, I'm not going to just give up Cooper Kupp. I'm not like out on Cooper Kupp. I think he's a wide receiver 1 for the rest of the year.
Cooper Kupp is.
I just think you might be able to get a wide receiver 1 and more value.
I think you could easily get Najee Harris and a DK Metcalf.
No, you could not.
Oh, sorry, not DK. Terry McLaurin. I think you could easily get a Scary Terry and a Najee Harris. Maybe not from you, because you're just psycho high on both of those guys for some reason, but like a level-headed human being would probably do that.
I don't think you get that kind of draft capital yet.
I mean, Najee had this good week, but that's it. Like this season, it hasn't been like super shiny for him, and Scary Terry hasn't been looking all that scary this year. So he's a 19th ranked wide receiver with the upside.
It's slightly scary if you have him.
Right, but like he is gonna finish. I mean, he's a 19th ranked wide receiver now. Very good shot. He finishes inside the top 12, and I think that Cooper Kupp will fall. Scary Terry might move up a little bit. So I think it's a good trade for both. I would do it. If I had Cooper Kupp and someone offered me Harris and Scary Terry, I'd do it. I wouldn't do it for Cooper Kupp just because I know he's going to subside. And
another good word.
Thank you. I've kind of got good vocabulary
today.
Yeah, only once in a
while. Okay. We talked about that for a while. So let's move on to the night game. Green Bay, San Francisco. It's hard not to be romantic about football. I love football.
I love football.
I'd let it be the big spoon. I don't see, that's the thing about me. Mm-hmm. I don't even need to be like in control as a confidant lover. I can be the small spoon sometimes, and I would let a football caress me. As what it appears Aaron Rodgers would. Aaron Rodgers had a good game. It was just a fun game to watch. I wrote down MVS. I think it's a bench dart throw. I think he's a fine guy to take a shot on. He's a deep guy. I don't think that he would be my number 1 waiver pickup, but we'll see. We'll see tomorrow when we talk about the waiver pickups. Sermon, I didn't think he was great, but he was fine. I like playing wise. If you watch the game, he had a couple runs that, of course, are going to make that yard per carry number go down just because it's 3rd and 1 or at the goal line. I honestly have no idea how the backfield's going to unfold. I think he played decent enough to see more work than he was, but it's Kyle Shanahan. We have no idea. Like, we didn't even think Elijah Mitchell was going to get a shot ever. So
right.
I have no idea what we're going to see going forward. I would hold on to him. And then the Kittle and Ayuk breakout games. I think this is just the start for Ayuk. And then I think Kittle, like, I think it was a better game for him. But, I mean, he's going to be kind of in that tight end. I mean, he's still going to be my tight end 4 right now behind just Hawkinson, Kelsey Waller. So definitely gives you a little bit more confidence.
Right. I agree. I'm getting rid of Kittle just pre this week. I already had the trade in motion. So, but this week was encouraging for people who will be getting Kittle or have them on their team already. He looked really good. I mean, seven receptions on 9 targets, 92 yards. I mean, obviously good numbers. What you want from Kittle. No touchdowns, but he's got some due. So he's going to be in for a good year. I think it's a good acquisition if you can get one. Get yourself a little Kittle pot pie. No, they just look good. They look good. I wouldn't have guessed that Kyle Gesicki was going to be the number 1 running back on the team.
Can you say that name again?
Nope. Said it once, butchered it. There's no
Kyle Hughes check. Was that
yeah, there's no vowels.
Who you were going for there?
So it's just alphabet soup. But I'm pretty sure he's listed as a fullback on their website.
He is. He is their fullback.
Yeah. So if you told me at the beginning of the week or going in that game, he was going to lead the team, I would have said, "Hey, pass me that pipe. Give me a hit." But no, he did good.
It's a family show, man.
What pipe?
Yeah. I mean, I think we pretty much covered it.
Yeah. No, it was a good game.
Yeah. So let's get into. We have a couple questions here that go around our game tonight. Okay. Philly at Dallas.
Woo!
The second take extra. He also calls out. I don't know if I can pull this up. Family friend. Come on, Cody.
The second take extra. Who is that?
The second take extra listener. Okay. Actually listened to a couple shows of ours, so we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Does ask. I am down 28. Opponents got Sanders, and they got Hurts, Zeke, and Lamb.
Whew.
I feel like pretty good.
I think you can probably win your game. Wait, you're down 28?
Down 28. Got Sanders. Going against Sanders, Hurts, Zeke, and Lamb. I like the Cowboys offense to really do a number tonight. I think the Eagles are going to have to catch up. So I like Hurts. Right. I said I like Zeke and Pollard in this game. I know I shouldn't, but we know that Philly has a stout run defense, Fletcher Cox. But I just think Dallas controls this game. I just think they're a better team.
I mean, Philly has a tough run defense, so that's the only thing that kind of worries me a little bit for Zeke, who Pollard has been performing a little bit better than him this year. But Lamb and Hurts will probably make up for it. Hurts is in for a good game.
I think Zeke scores tonight. That's going to be my bold call.
All right, Zeke could score. I mean, maybe. I see Lamb scoring more than I do see Zeke scoring. So I see one of his dudes scoring tonight. So I think you could probably win this game.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Definitely in reach. I think Sanders, I mean, he's a good player. I think he'll be fine. But
that's a little tough to see Miles Sanders as your opponent, though.
Yeah, but I think it's gonna be a stressful one.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
also one I wouldn't rule myself out yet. You have a very good shot. Another question. Down by 11.2 and have Zeke.
I don't know about this one.
I like it obviously because I think Zeke's gonna score a touchdown. I think it's gonna be again. You might have a little stress depending if it's like full PPR. I mean, if it's standard, it's gonna be a little bit tougher, but I like your chances more than I don't.
I think Zeke gets 10 points. Like, I really do. If he falls in the end zone, he'll win it for you. But I think he gets 10 points, no touchdown. Just how I'm seeing the game. I just don't think he's gonna. I don't think he scores. So I don't think he rushes good enough to get you 120 yards so you can beat your thing. I just think Pollard is too big of a factor right now.
I think he gets around 13 would be my guess.
With a touchdown, you said.
I also, expect him to score. So I have a little bit more faith in Zeke. Again, another game that you're probably going to have to stress about too much.
Yeah, have fun.
But that's the beauty of fantasy football.
Just don't break your TV.
The last one, up 18.98, and have Greg the Leg, and he has Lamb.
Oh, you got this in the bag, bud.
It's good.
You're saying that Greg the Leg doesn't do anything, and that Lamb.
I mean, CD could go off always.
I mean, CD could, but if he goes off for 20 points, Greg the Leg has to do what? Kick like 2-point afters? Like, come on. Give me you got this one.
I mean, I'm probably going. Yeah, I'm probably on your side for this one. But I think
CD Lamb could have a good game, but I think Greg the Leg gets you like 7 to 8 points, so you're gonna win the game. You're probably gonna win this one.
I just don't trust kickers. I never trust kickers.
Yeah.
So when I look at these, I'm like, oh, that kicker's gonna put up like 2. Because I just don't trust kickers.
Well, ever. 2 points means CD Lamb could have 20. I have a 20 point.
But it's also full point PPR. So if he catches a touchdown, very possible. And CD is explosive, good to go off at any time.
Yeah, I mean he is, but I'm just saying Greg the Leg gets 2 points. Now CD Lamb has to get 21 points. I think that you got this.
I'd say so. I just never trust a kicker. And also, I know if I'm you got this in the bag, I'm going to jinx you. And I don't want to do that. Who listen to our show? You seem like a very nice person.
He's a nice
very
person.
Supportive. I appreciate it.
I don't even know who you are. Hey,
I just don't want to do that to you. That's just would be mean on my part. We appreciate your questions. And we do hope that you win all these.
Tell us tomorrow if you won and how many you won.
Yes.
I want to know.
Please do.
Now I'm invested.
We're very invested in your league as much as our own.
I'm probably more invested into your league than I am mine.
Yeah.
I forget who I'm
After your week, that makes plenty of sense, Cody.
My week is terrible. I have to do the punishment this week for our league. I won't say what it is because it's spoiled.
Because it's a family-friendly show.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Family-friendly.
Thank you for asking our opinions on things.
Yeah,
always very nice to see that those matter.
I want to know. I want more questions.
If there are any more questions, feel free to ask. Monday Night Football, we kind of covered it.
Yeah.
Anybody else that we didn't talk about that you feel the need to talk about?
No, not really. Let me just double checking my notes here.
You did bench Devontae Smith, although you did tell me on accident, which is not a good look for a person who hosts a 4-day-a-week fantasy show.
Right. I'll admit there's just been some life issues going on home front here, and have been slightly distracted. So I am not able to fully go through my team as much as I wanted to. But we will get them situated, and I will be back, and I will start being better, I promise. So Devontae Smith was actually going to start instead of Zach Pascal, and I thought I did switch it after our show, and then Sunday around 1:01 time, Eastern Seaburg time, I found out that I did not switch it, so you live some and you lose some, and I'm going to lose this one.
You do sound like someone who just tried to rob a bank with all the excuses you pulled there. But
hey! I lost a week fair and square. I mean, played a good team. I played bad people from my team. It is what it is. Yeah. The only person I want to talk about real quick was this Cole Beasley is a beast. I don't think we gave him any credit. Well, I know I give him credit all the time, but I know that someone on this show doesn't recognize Cole Beasley as.
We talked about him. As Hunter Renfrow, like Cole Beasley.
Right. But we didn't really mention Cole Beasley as a separate human being. I want to clarify that Hunter Renfrow and Cole Beasley are not the same person, despite the fact that they are both wide receivers in the NFL. Cole Beasley looked good. Interesting flex play and or wide receiver 2, depending on your team.
He's
Love
just
him.
like a great fill-in, is what
Right. I love me.
Safe.
He is very safe. Like if he's on your team, I don't know if he'll lose you your week. He might not win it for you, but hey, you're not going to lose your week because of him. So
yeah. Couple more questions.
yes,
I can take extra bringing it today.
My friend is up 37. He's going against Dak. Is he fine? He's fine. Dak is not getting. If Dak gets more than 25 points, I'd be surprised.
Okay, that's very confident. That might be a little bit riskier.
Oh, my friend is up 19 and has Zeke and is going up against Hurt and Lamb. I think Hurts has a good game, and I think Lamb has a good game. Probably like 25 to 30 for Hurts and 15 to 20 for Lamb.
Yeah, I'd say.
That's a close one, man. That's
your friend's in a little bit of trouble there.
A little bit.
I would expect these are kind of just the projections I wrote down. Quick Zeke around 13, and then Hurts 24 and Lamb 10. That would put the opposing team up by 2. So I think it's going to be close, but
it is going to be a close game.
That one to be a tough one. Yeah.
Hey,
Greg the Leg's going to have to. He's going to miss an extra point, I think.
I think I'll just read it out loud for the people at home who are listening to it. I think Cowboys-Eagles game being 30-17, Cowboys winning. So I think Greg the Leg can do something. I don't hate it. I think the Cowboys do win this game. Greg the Leg will probably be part of it for sure. Mm-hmm. And if you have Greg the Leg, I'd expect.
How can you feel like bad about a guy who has a leg in his nickname?
Exactly. I mean,
if you don't believe in him as a kicker, you don't believe in any kickers. Problem is, I don't believe in any kickers.
You don't. I do. Are you guys scared of Rob, Woods, and Julio's points this week?
A-Rob.
A-Rod. Oh, Jesus.
Allen Robinson. Not. Get your head out.
I mean, Robert Woods, maybe. Julio, he looked like he was more involved. Allen Robinson, he's the best guy on a terrible team. If they can get the line figured out, then he has good weeks. I'd say Woods is the guy I'm most looking to get rid of. But I'm not super worried about him. If you have them on your team, just try to find some fill-in guys until they learn how to play football and then elite level again.
Yeah, in order of scared to not scared or like least scared, I would say I'm most worried about Allen Robinson just because that offense. I mean, if an offense puts up a less than 100 points, how can you not be terrified?
Right.
And then I would probably go Robert Woods somewhere in the middle because the offense is still very good. He's just the number 2 option now. And then I would go Julio. I feel fine about Julio going forward as a guy. Like, I don't want to rely on any of these guys, obviously, but I feel like Woods and Julio I'd like to keep around, where A-Rob, like, I'm fine with trying to shop him.
I am very okay with trying to shop any of these guys. I'm not panic selling. I look for a good deal. Like, don't sell yourself short. These guys will have good weeks to come. You guys buy James Robinson's 25-point fantasy performance
for what it is. Like,
yeah, I mean, if Trevor Lawrence keeps playing like he is, then James Robinson by default will have to carry more of the load. So I don't know if he's going to put up 25 a game, but he's I like him. I think he's a good RB2, if not a flex option, depending on how stacked your team is. I like him.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am not as pumped as I was the start of the year. but it's definitely like, okay, they're starting to give him more, just like the lead role like he deserves. So you definitely got to feel good about that. And but also weigh it with the bad. You can't just weigh this one and be like, oh, he's right back to being
Right.
a top whatever. Like some people had him as like top 16 running back. Some people would be me going into the year. I don't know if he's that, but he was actually going 15th in drafts. But yeah, I think he is. I think he is what he is at this point, which is probably like low RB2, high end flex.
Yeah. I just want to say I love his profile picture of
Oh yeah,
double mellow.
mellow,
Love
double
it.
mellow.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
I wish the background was just like a little bit yellow, so we can get yellow mellow.
Exactly. But hey, who are we to judge?
Yeah, who are we to say?
Yeah.
But that is
I don't get paid to dish, to bash people.
No,
I get paid to sit here and look pretty.
It's true. I don't get paid for anything.
Yeah, I don't know who to talk to about getting paid, but it's a little behind.
But yeah. I think big Mellow fan.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, he's good.
Yeah, I think that's it for us today.
Mm-hmm.
We've been here for 2 hours, so I'd say
I have some things I do need to do. So
yeah.
As much as I love spending my whole afternoon with everyone, I also need to have a family.
Do those things.
Yeah. Do you have a family?
That is very fair. We will be back tomorrow with waivers. Thank you all for listening and checking us out. Remember to donate if you can. It would be greatly appreciated by us and Tagway family. And yeah, check us out on YouTube, Your Wildest Fantasy Football Show, and at Twitch at Your Wildest Fantasy. We are also available in podcast form, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. That is it for us. We will be back tomorrow.
Love you. Be safe.